President Trump's latest war of words is particularly striking because this time it's with the Republican chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Bob Corker. Senator Corker making an extraordinary charge overnight that the president's actions are endangering the country and his threats to other nations could lead to another world war. This morning, a major Republican rebuke. Top GOP Senator Bob Corker telling the New York Times President Trump could put the nation on the path to World War III and that the president's tweets have in some instances undermined American diplomacy. He concerns me, Corker told the Times. He would have to concern anyone who cares about our nation. Corker also saying he's alarmed by President Trump, saying he treats his office like a reality show, like he's doing The Apprentice or something. The harsh words coming days after Corker, the influential chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, made this striking comment.
I think Secretary Tillerson, Secretary Mattis, and Chief of Staff Kelly are those people that help separate our country from chaos.
Over the weekend, the president went into attack mode, slamming Corker's decision not to run for re-election. Mr. Trump tweeting, Corker begged him for his endorsement, and when he said no, Corker dropped out, adding, didn't have the guts to run. Corker contradicted that account to the Times, saying the president actually asked him to reconsider, firing back on Twitter. It's a shame the White House has become an adult daycare center. Someone obviously missed their shift this morning. The face-off is notable because Corker, a Tennessee Republican, was once a staunch Trump supporter. But after the president's controversial response to the violence in Charlottesville, a rift opened up.
The president has not yet been able to demonstrate the stability nor some of the competence that he needs to demonstrate in order to be successful.
Corker's concerns come amid the ongoing North Korean nuclear crisis after Kim Jong-un touted his country's nuclear arsenal over the weekend. The president delivering a vague warning, tweeting, only one thing will work. Later asked for an explanation by NBC's Peter Alexander.
What's the one thing that'll work with North Korea? Well, you'll figure that out pretty soon.
The president also waging a new battle over immigration this morning, with the White House demanding a border security crackdown in exchange for protecting young undocumented immigrants known as dreamers from deportation. The Trump administration circulating a wish list in Congress. The most controversial request, funding for a southern border wall, a key Trump campaign promise.
We will build a wall, believe me.
Also on the list of immigration proposals, cracking down on sanctuary cities, tougher action against unaccompanied minors, and beefed up border security. In a statement, Democratic leaders said the White House can't be serious about compromise given the hardline policies they're asking for. Matt, Savannah.
Kristen, for a sec, let's go back to this war of words between Bob Corker and the president. Corker has announced he's not running for re-election, but he is still a sitting U.S. senator, so his vote is important on some key issues. So what's the fallout going to be?
Very important point, Matt. Corker is not only an influential GOP senator, as you say, but the president needs his vote to get tax reform and immigration reform. Mr. Trump is expected to announce a new Iran policy this week. Corker may be essential to carrying that out as well. And remember, he's not an anti-Trumper. He was supportive during the campaign. His name even floated as a potential VP nominee, as Secretary of State. So this type of personal back and forth that we're seeing could send a very powerful message that the Trump faithful are starting to lose their faith. Matt and Savannah.
But Kristen, I mean, part of the rift that opened up with Senator Corker had to do with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who Corker supports. Obviously, there's been some tension between the president and Tillerson. Where are we on that this morning?
Right. Well, we saw that on display again over the weekend when President Trump tweeted. He seemed to undercut his Secretary of State. And then he was asked about the tweet in which he said that North Korea had made fools out of U.S. diplomats. And he said, what is the situation between you and your Secretary of State? And the president responded and acknowledged that, look, there are sometimes disagreements and that sometimes he wishes his Secretary of State would be a little bit tougher. And while there are signs that the situation may be untenable, there are still no signs that a Tillerson departure is imminent. Matt and Savannah.
All right, Kristen Welker at a rainy White House this morning.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.